G'day, welcome back to Dad vs. Son and our playthrough of the historical scenario Eutaw Springs from the tri-battle pack of the great battles of the American Revolution. We're about to go on with the penultimate turn 9, 3 p.m. And we have the initiative roll to do. At the moment, the Americans are on high morale, so get a +1 to their roll, whereas the British are on fatigued and therefore do not. The Americans are not going to use their momentum token for this roll. They've been using them before and have lost every time, so I'm simply going to roll it up and see what we get. And we have a 3 and a 3, so the Americans win with their +1 being a 4, and they get to go first. So as per usual, there are no reinforcements. The Americans have no disrupted, shattered or pinned units, so it's down to movement. So what do I want to do? Like I was saying before, I'd like to take these out, but I'd like to take these out first. And I think that might be more important. So I'm going to move Swamp Fox here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up into here. And that way his zone of control is around this way. The North Carolina Brigade will move into here for 2. The Pickens Sumter is going to move 1, 2 into here. Therefore, he has a zone of control into here. Virginia Brigade will come up with him in support. And then the Maryland Brigade is going to go 1, 2 to here. And Green will come up 1, 2, 3, 4 to here. To here. Gaines Artillery will move into here. And Brown's Artillery will move to here. At the moment, that still leaves the New York Volunteers a retreat out here. So the Palmetto Horse is going to come around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and cut off their retreat, which is really painful. And then the Washington's Dragoons, 1, 2, to come up here and keep them honest. Marchbanks has got the artillery and a stack of 6 with the light infantry and the Irish buffs here, and the Irish buffs and the 96th District Militia here. The light infantry is in the plantation house, and I think we need to get some more people in there to do some damage. So Lee's Legion of Foot is actually going to move into the encampment. The Palmetto Foot will come up with Kirkwood, and Hampton will come up with him, and Kirkwood will move around to the right there. Again, this now cuts off any sort of retreat for the light infantry, and the rifle is going to come forward 1, 2, 3 with Hampton here. And I'm just going to leave him on top because he'll get a shot first. And that's it for movement. There's no rally phase for the Americans. Defensive artillery fire. So again, we have the artillery here, and now they could fire on the Lee's Legion of Foot up here, but that's a light unit, so that'd be a -1. They don't want to do that. And the same with Kirkwood. It's again a -1, so they don't really want to do that because that would be yucky. They can't get the Palmetto. They could go after the Maryland Brigade, or they can go after the Virginia Brigade or Pickett Sumter. So what they're going to actually do is go after the Virginia Brigade, and the reason for that is it's a good unit, but if they get a good shot off, then they can take out Green as well. So it's at a range of 2. For a 2-strength unit is an 8, and they get no other thing for that, so they need an 8 to hit, 8 or better. They get a 3 and miss. Righto. Then we have the rifle fire phase, and we have the South Carolina rifle firing at the light infantry. They're adjacent, which is a 7. The target is light infantry, so they need an 8. And they're in the meeting. They're in the Wantoon Plantation, which is a 9-10, so they actually can't hit anything. So, does nothing. Because remember, the die goes from 0 to 9. Okay, so that leaves us with the close combat phase, and we'll do this one first down here with Coffin. And we have a shattered unit. So it's Washington Dragoons against the Charleston Horse, which is shattered. So we have a 2-2, which is a 1-1. Attacker's benefit is a +1. There's no leader. Defending unit is shattered, so that's a +1, taking us, to +2. Any attacker is a mounted dragoon against a solely disrupted or shattered unit. So again, that now is +3, and that is it. Then defender benefit, we have a +1, -1 for the Charleston, so it does nothing, but they get a 1 for Coffin, so we're down to a +2. And that is that. Okay, so we're at a 1-1 +2. Looking at the tactics, the Americans are engaging without a leader. Withdraw is plausible. It's table 1, which is a die 8, and they get a 5, which is attack on echelon. The British are engaged with a leader. The opponent has no leader. Is a flank possible? And it's not because this unit is shattered and can't move. Is withdraw plausible? Again, they can't withdraw as such because they're shattered, is the way I look at it. So, no. So I'm going to say it's table 6, which is a die 8. And they get a 5. Which is a frontal assault. So we have attack on echelon against a frontal assault is a 0, so we're at 1-1 +2 for the American attack. And we roll a 5, which makes a 7 at 1-1 is a retreat. So looking at our combat results, in fact, that's wrong, because that should have been a 2-1, because as a shattered unit, they defend with 1 SP and may not receive any terrain DRMs. So, sorry, it's a 2-1, which is a disruption, and a shattered unit that's already a shattered unit that ends up with a disruption is eliminated. So the Charleston Horse is eliminated. Shattered goes away. The rally goes away, and Coffin gets to retreat 1, I believe, and we'll go to there. Okay, I won't be long, and then I'll be back. Sorry about that. Apologies, just had to help Mother with something. Okay, so we've done that. So we're up to now Army morale adjustments. So this unit has been eliminated. So it will go down as basically suffering a 1 result, I would presume. So that is a +1, -1. So again, the Americans go up to 15 Army morale. The British come down to 5, which is the last entry in fatigued before they start to waver. And then Washington's Dragoons advance. Right, next. Dum, dum, dum. Okay, what we're going to do is have the Maryland Brigade and the North Carolina Brigade attack Skinner's Greens here. So that's a 6-2. It's a 3-1. Okay, the lead unit is the Maryland Brigade. That's a +2. Defender is surrounded. Well, not really, because he can always go back here at the moment. So no, he's not surrounded. So we're at +2. Righto, defender benefit, he's at a 0 -1, so that gives us a +3. And that is it. So leadership wise for tactics, and the green is adjacent, so the Americans are with a leader. The opponent has no leader. Flank is possible for the Americans. Withdraw is plausible, so therefore it's table 5, which is a die 10, and they get a 4, which is skirmish. And for the British, they're engaged without a leader. Withdraw is plausible. They can withdraw to here. So table 1, a die 8. And they get a 2, which is withdraw. So we have a skirmish against a withdraw is a no combat. Okay, so we have no combat, but Skinner's Greens have to withdraw, which they do, but they do not take part in this battle. Okay, so the next battle is against here, so against 4, and Delancey will be the lead. So we have 3, 6, 8, 9 to 4 is 2-1. Excuse me. Morale for the lead unit, and we'll call the Virginia Brigade the lead unit, so that's a +1. And they get green as well, that's a +2 all told. And again, defender surrounded. Well, he's not, because there's no zone of control into here. We were hoping to at least get him back so the Maryland can get in here, and that would have stuffed them, but no. Defender benefit, he has a +1, a -1, so nothing. And that's it. Okay, so 2 to 1 at +2. And again, what we have now is the Americans engaging with the leader. The opponent has no leader. Flank is possible for the Americans. And withdraw is plausible for most of the Americans. So they will use table 5 for a D10. And they get a 3, which is skirmish. And then for the British, they're engaged without a leader. Is withdraw plausible? And withdraw plausible? They cannot withdraw here. They cannot withdraw there. So no, it is not. So table 2 for them, a die 6. And they get a 2, which is skirmish. So both sides are skirmishing. Nothing occurs. And we have a 2 to 1 at a +2. And we get a 5 plus 2 at 2 to 1 is a 7. 2 to 1 is a disruption. Okay, now, this is where it gets a little tricky. So with the disruption, the owning player retreats the affected unit 3 hexes. And to retreat, they may not retreat into an enemy-occupied hex. So they can't go into these 3. They cannot retreat into an enemy zone of control. So they can't go to here. They can't go into prohibited terrain. They cannot go off map or in violation of stacking limits. If possible, a unit must retreat into a hex which is not adjacent to an enemy unit. In addition, the unit must retreat towards a friendly map edge if possible. So realistically, Delancey can retreat to here, I believe. Now we have to do the New York Volunteers, and they do a morale check. Sorry, he's got to retreat 3 hexes. He's retreated 1. He cannot retreat any further. So he is eliminated, I believe. Any unit that cannot retreat the full distance is captured. So Delancey is captured. The New York Volunteers now have to do their morale check to see if they can retreat. And again, they need a 6 or better to stand. Oh, wrong die, sorry. And they get a 6. So the New York Volunteers stand. But Skinner's Greens need to now see if they're going to go. If a unit retreats from into a hex which is not being, may not contribute, nor may be selected as a lead. If its side suffers any result in the close combat, the previously retreated unit must make a morale. If it passes, it must retreat 1 hex. Okay, so again, it needs a 6 to stand. And rolls a 6 and stands. Wow. So we don't get to move whatsoever. But what we do is we have a captured unit, which is Delancey. And a capture is a +1, -1. So the Americans cannot go any higher than 15, but the British have now come down to a 4. And they are wavering. So they have a -2 to their morale and a -1 to their initiative roll. Right. Next, what we have is the close combat into here. And we're going to use the Parmento Foot as the lead unit. So we have 2, 3, 4 into here. We're not using the rifle. So 2, 3, 4 to 2. 4 to 2 is 2 to 1 again. Okay, for the attacker, we have a 0, and we get 1 for Hampton, so that's a +1. Defender, no. Defender is surrounded, and yes, he is. There is nowhere for him to go. So that's another +1, so we're at +2. For the defender, adjusted unit morale of defender's lead unit. So that is a +2, -2. But again, we go to what happens in the plantation house. Units defending in this hex receive a +1 to morale check. So he's going to get a +1, so that's -1. Okay. There is a leader, but he's not with him. And he gets a -1 again for defending in the plantation house. So we're down to a -2 +2. Okay, so it's just a 2-to-1 with nothing. Tactics-wise, again, the Americans are engaged with a leader. The opposition has a leader because of marchbanks. Flank is possible. No, it's not. Flank is not possible. Withdraw is plausible. For most of the units, yes. So table 7 for the Americans, which is a die 6. And they get a 6, which is commit reserve. And for the Brits, they're engaged with a leader. The opponent has a leader. Flank is possible for them. They can flank to here or to here. Withdraw is not plausible. They cannot withdraw. So it's table 10 for them, which is a die 10. And they get a 6, which is commit reserve. So both committing reserves, nothing else happens there. And we have a 2-to-1 with no die roll modifier. And let's see what we get out of that. And we get a 6. And a 6 is defender retreats, which does nothing because he does not have to retreat. And that is that for the American turn, and then we're into the British part of the turn. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, so again, no reinforcements. No pinned, shattered, disrupted units. So it's down to movement. So these are going to move. Skinner's Greens will move 1 to here, and New York Volunteers will move 1 to here. And that allows then Coffin to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And at least give them a bit of support, which is good. The light infantry is quite happy where it is. So it depends on whether Major Marchbanks wants to try and take out some of these people here. Or is he just going to try and hold? So it comes down to victory points. And I think he's just going to hold. So that is that. Rally, nothing to rally. Defensive artillery fire, we have Gaines and Brown here, but they're out of range of anything. So that's fine. Rifle fire, again, we have the rifle unit here. But it costs a 10 to fire into there, which he cannot do. So there is no rifle fire phase. So close combat. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a go at the Palmetto horse, which makes sense. And it's going to be 2-4 to 1, with the New York Volunteers as the lead unit, and the Palmetto horse is going to do a cavalry withdrawal. So they withdraw 1, 2. Well, in fact, they withdraw 1, 2, 3 that way, because there's no zone of control in here. In which case, Skinner's Greens, New York, and Coffin then come up here like that. The light infantry does not have to fight. If it does, it's got to fight everybody, so it doesn't want to fight at all. So that is the end of that. And then we're up to the last turn. So I might just rock on with the last turn. Let's get into it. This will make this a bit longer, but I don't mind. Righto, so initiative to start with, and we have the British on a -1 for initiative and the Americans on a +1. So let's just roll it up, and we get the British on a 1 and the Americans on a, well, in fact, the British on a 0 and the Americans on a 4. So the Americans are up first. So they are no reinforcements, no disrupted, shattered or pinned units. So it's up to movement, and Washington's Dragoons will come forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to here. Swamp Fox will come forward to here. Pick and Sumter will come forward 1 to here. Virginia Brigade forward. Green forward. Maryland Rifle Brigade will go 1, 2, 3 into here. The North Carolina Brigade will go 1, 2, 3, 4. I just can't get them. I've left them there. And I think the artillery, they can try and take out both of my artillery, so I'm simply going to move my artillery back 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, back to there. Just get that out of the way. I can't get the light infantry out of there no matter what I try. So Kirkwood here is going to go 1, 2, 3 and cut them off. So hopefully we can wipe them out totally. The rifle unit, what does it want to do? It's going to go 1.5, 3 to here, out of the way. Lee's Legion of Foot. Oh, we didn't do the loot check for there. My apologies beforehand. Lee's Legion of Foot. I'll roll it now and just see. So basically only a 0 would have disrupted him, and we get a 6, so he was fine. So we'd have taken 1 of those anyway. There's no way we can get the 4, so I'm not too worried about it. Lee's Legion of Foot is simply going to move over here. No, it's not. Palmetto Foot is going to move to here. Lee's Legion of Foot will go 1, 2, 3, 4, and Hampton will come over as well. So the dying gasp from the Americans is to try and capture all of them. Rally phase, cavalry withdrawal comes off, and we go into the excuse me, defensive artillery phase. We have the artillery here, who can fire at the Palmetto horse down here. I've left them one to play with, that's all. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is a 9. So they need an 8 firing at dragoons. I thought I deserved them at least a shot. And they get a 0. So, no, didn't make any difference. Rifle fire phase, there is no rifle fire phase. So we go into close combat, and we have 3, 6, 7, 12, 15 to 4. 15 to 4 is 3 to 1. Not quite 4 to 1. Lead unit will be the Virginia Brigade at a +1, and +1 for green is +2. Defender is surrounded, so we're up to +3. Defender benefit, their lead unit is the New York Volunteers. They're at a 0, -2, so that's a +2. And we have Coffin at a 1, so that's a -1. And that is it. So we are at 3 to 1 +4. Looking at tactics, both sides have a leader. So engaged with the leader, opponent has a leader. Is flank possible for the Americans? And we can flank to here, or we can flank to here. So yes. Is withdrawal plausible? And it is plausible for 3/4 of our troops. So yes. So table 9, die 8. And we get a 2, which is stand fast. For the enemy, the British, the opponent has a leader. Is flank possible? And it is not. Is withdrawal plausible? No, it is not. So table 8 for them, which is a die 10. They get a 7, which is a frontal assault. So we have stand. A frontal assault is a +1, so we're now up to +5. Okay, so 3 to 1, +5, and we get a 1 +5. We are going to use our momentum to re-roll that. 3 to 1, +5, and we roll a 2. So now we have 7, and that is a disruption. Okay, so the New York Volunteers has to retreat. They cannot retreat anywhere, so they are captured. Skinner's Greens have to do a morale check. They're at a -2, so they need, and they have a 1, so they're at -1. They need a 6 or better to stand. They get a 9 and they stand. So Coffin doesn't have to retreat either. Bugger. Okay, so that is that. So what have we got here now? Momentum, decision, combat, army morale adjustments. We have a captured unit. which is a +1, -1. So the British are now down to 3 army morale. And we go on with the, there is no advance after combat. So we're into the last phase, which is the British part of the turn. And they have no reinforcements, no disrupted units, shattered or pinned. So it would be movement alone. Yeah. So what do they want to do? And I suppose they just want to cause as much hassle as they can to start with. So they're simply going to go, the 96th will go 1, 2. The Irish buffs will come over and Marchbanks will come over. The artillery will remain where it is. Skinner's Greens will move back 1 and Coffin will go with them. It's a bit of a shit fight because it means that these guys have got to attack no matter what. Okay, so that's that. Rally phase, nothing to do. Defensive artillery fire, American defensive artillery is gone. Rifle fire phase, there's nothing. Close combat phase. So we're going to do this attack first into Kirkwood. So we have a 6-1, so that's a 4-1. The Irish buffs are at a +1, -2, so that's a -1, but they pick up a 1 for Marchbanks, so it's a straight up with nothing. And the defender is surrounded. No, because he can go to here. There is no... well, is there? There's a road there. And the cannon and the others can shoot down the road, I would think. So that's an interesting one. It is light forest, but there is a road through there. But I suppose they wouldn't be standing in the middle of the road, they'd be in the light forest. So yes, he can go there, so he's not surrounded. And by the same token, he could go here as well and not be surrounded. So, yep, much of a muchness. Defender benefit, he's at a +1, so that's a -1. And that is it. So 4-1, -1. We look at tactics. The British are engaging with a leader. The opponent has a leader because we have a green here. Flank possible. And... yes, we could flank to here or here, effectively. Withdraw plausible? Yes, because we can withdraw up here again. So table 9. Am I doing this right? No? I need to do the British first, don't I? You idiot. So British first, sorry. Engaging with a leader. Yes, the opponent has a leader. Flank is possible for the British. Withdraw is plausible for the British, so it is table 9 for them, yes. And they get an 8, which is refuse flank. And then it's exactly the same again. And a 6 for the Americans, commit reserve. So we have refuse flank to commit reserve is a -1, so we're at 4-2 -2. And we get a 5 -2 is a 3 at 4-1, which is both sides retreat. So the defender will retreat first. He'll retreat up to here. And then the Irish buffs will retreat. They can't retreat here. They can't retreat here. They've got to go over this way. And then we do the 96th, and they're at a +1 -1 -2. So they need a 7 to stand. and get a 7 and stand, and Major Marchbanks will stand with them, seeing as nothing else is going on there. And then we have this final attack down here, which is 2 to 5, so it's a 1 to 2. But he's not going to do that. He's going to go for a 2 to 2, so it's a 1 to 1. Minus that doesn't really matter, so it's still 1 to 2. Because if he puts in a diversion, it's still going to drop down 1, so it doesn't really matter. So he's attacking into here with a diversion into there. 1 to 2. He has a 0 morale, which is a -2, picks up 1 for coffin, so that's a -1. And that is it. And defender benefit, we have a +1 for the Washington Dragoons, which now makes it -2. And that's it. So 1 to 2 -2. Looking at tactics, and we have a engage with the leader. Opponent has no leader. Flank is possible. Withdraw is plausible. So table 5 for the British is a die 10, and they get a 7, which is frontal assault. And for the Americans, engaged without a leader, withdraw is plausible. So table 1, die 8. And they get a 3, which is stand fast. So we have a frontal assault against a stand fast, which is a -1. So they're down now to 1 to 2 -3. And we have a 5 -3 is a 2 on a 1 to 2 is attacker disrupted. So Skinner goes 1, 2, 3 and is disrupted. And Coffin goes back with him into there. Right. So that is it. So we go up through the close combat results, army morale adjustments. We've had a disruption, which is a -1. So the British go down to 2 army morale points. The Americans are on 15. And that is the end of the game. So it's just to work out whether it was a win, loss, or draw. So let's have a look at eliminated units first. And we have 2 American eliminated units and 2 British eliminated units. So each enemy 2-step unit eliminated. And this is 1 step, 2 steps. So this is 2 VP to the Americans. And we get rid of that. And this is a single, and this is a single. Each 1-step unit eliminated, so 1 more to the Americans takes them up to 3, and we have 2 for the British. And that's done. Then we go into half each for 2-step unit reduced. We have no 2-step units reduced here, and we have no 2-step units reduced here. One each for enemy captured. Okay, right, and all we have is captured British units. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the Americans, taking it up to 9. Half each for each enemy unit shattered at the end of the game. There is nobody shattered. All we have is the 1 disrupted unit. and then leader casualties. Okay, so looking at the rules for the scenario, and we have Stuart, and Stuart is 2 VP for being captured or a casualty, takes the Americans to 11, and that is on top of the normal, which is a unit being captured, which is 1 more, which we've already counted, so that's good. We didn't get the control of the majority of the 7 encampments, so that goes 3 points to the British because they still have it, and that gives them 5, and that is it. So what we ended up with were 11 American victory points to 5 British victory points, which brings us to a substantial victory, I believe. We have 3, 4, 5, 6 regulars only. So, yeah. So it's not a decisive victory because we didn't take out 8 British regular strength points and take the zone of control. The victory hex. It's not a British decisive victory because they didn't get 12 points of Americans and capture green or eliminate green. So it's going to be a marginal victory. Marginal victory awarded to the player with a margin of victory of 3 or more points. So, marginal victory. I don't think, looking at substantial victory, see 16.3 in the series rule. No, that's if you get them down to demoralised. So a marginal victory. So that is that. Okay, so thank you very much. Again, my apologies for any mistakes or anything else. And what I'll do is I'll stop it there, and then I'm going to come back and do a bit of a review on the game. So thank you. Take care, and I'll catch you later. Bye for now.